Welcome to the Ricky Walter Show, and I am Ricky Walter, your host and your neighborhood mental health practitioner. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, let me preference this show by making this disclaimer. This is not a therapy show. However, this show is designed to give you information that may be relevant if you are needing assistance in making informed decisions about your mental health or mental well-being or the mental well-being of your loved ones. I want to express my appreciation to you for tuning in each week to see this show. Now, if you have missed any of our previous episodes, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can see them there, and I hope you would do that. Today, I'm going to discuss a mental disorder that has become an epidemic in our nation, and it is substance abuse. The truth of the matter is, you know someone directly or indirectly who has an addiction to drugs or alcohol, and it is wreaking havoc on our communities, our families, and our nation as a whole. Now, oftentimes people use drugs to mitigate the pain of something that has occurred or is occurring in their lives. The misnomer is, I can stop it whenever I want to. Now, one major consideration is that there is a persistent underlying change in the brain chemistry when people use drugs, which last way beyond detoxification. Now, when the chemistry of the brain is altered, there is recognizable changes in behaviors, mood, affect, and emotions. And people who have a substance use disorder have strong urges to use their substance of choice. They can't control it. They can't stop it. Now, their addiction impairs every facet of their life, mostly in their social situations, and often lead to risky behaviors. Reports estimate that 27.1 million people ages 12 and older have used an illicit or illegal drug in the past month, which is based on the annual National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Now, the same survey purported that 1 in 12 individuals needed some form of treatment, but rarely do they reach out for treatment without some type of intervention. If you've been keeping up with the most recent news, I know you have heard that our nation is going through a heroin and an opiates crisis. And I won't get a chance to describe both of them today, but let me take opiates, for instance. They are addictive painkillers, yet they have been one of the more commonly abused drugs because of their addictive features. It binds the area of the brain that controls pain and emotion, driving up the level of the feeling good hormone known as dopamine. It affects the brain rewards area and produces this intense feeling of euphoria. And as the brain becomes used to the feelings, it often takes more and more drugs to produce the same level of pain relief or well-being, leading to dependence and later addictions. Now, there are a number of programs throughout our country that are doing wonderful jobs providing interventions to people who need hope and are wanting out of addictions. Speaking of hope, I would like to highlight a program that I recently had an opportunity to come to know and who is doing a wonderful, powerful job giving people struggling with addictions a place to heal, recover, and be mentored. It is known as Project Hope, a program for men, and Saving Grace, a program they have for women. Let's take a look at what Project Hope and Saving Grace does to help people struggling with addictions.
You know, I was about 28, 30 years old when I first come into cocaine. I lost 4 brothers from heroin, so I never wanted to do drugs, but I met a guy in San Antonio. I had a condominium, and we opened up another company in San Antonio, and he said, I need a tennis partner, and I need to play tennis. And he introduced me to cocaine. It seemed like crack cocaine just destroyed my life for 8 years. I, get every penny I made, I just went to crack cocaine, and then it just took over. And then finally I said, I'm working 12 hours a day, and all my money's gone. I ain't gonna work no more. I'm just gonna end up on the street. So I went, and Project Hope, what it instills in people is to become real with yourself, and it teaches you to stand up for what's right, and you don't have to just fall for anything. And if you're really struggling out there, my best thing is, man, is just put on one foot after another, man, and get up and follow Christ, man. Because it ain't easy for no one to say no. You just got to say no and just say yes to Jesus, man. That's all I do, man. That's the only thing I can rely on.
How I ended up at Saving Grace, what had happened was I was coming to just a rough point in my life where I was faced with the decision of coming and getting my life together or spending the rest of my life in prison, and honestly going nowhere in my life. I was at the point where I was about to die because of the addiction that was taking place in my life. I've been at Saving Grace for 4 months. I've been sober for 8, completely off of drugs for 8 months, and what I would say about this program is that it's teaching me how to become a normal person, and how to properly deal with my emotions because I'm faced with them. I'd say it's a place where you definitely have nothing else to rely on but God. There's no distractions. You have to face your issues, and you have people around you that encourage you and that support you and that can help you along that way, because sometimes, I mean, it's hard to know what to do when you're left with the situation you're in. And it's definitely a program where you have to change, or I mean, you have to want it, and you can use all those useful experiences and turn them around to be things that you learn from and that you can not do again. So.
Addiction ruins lives. I mean, it takes people from who God originally had them to be, and it takes them off of that path. And a lot of things I normally wouldn't have done if I wasn't in addiction. It breaks you out of your character. And, a lot of, for me, regret and disappointment. I didn't live up to the expectations my parents had for me. I chose my own path and followed a lot of the crowd, so to say. And for me, just addiction, it tore up relationships with my family, friends. It makes you do things you normally wouldn't do. The thing about addiction is it's a snowball effect. It'll start small from, smoking marijuana for myself when I was 14 to I'm 29 right now. And when I was 26, I started, injecting heroin to my veins. It's progressive and it gets worse over time. In September 2015, I left New York to go to Arizona for a 6-month halfway house. And I was only supposed to do 6 months. I ended up doing 7 because I relapsed after 4 months on heroin. And they didn't want to keep me in the same place. If I already had messed up, if this isn't working, we need to get him out of this environment. I met new people, new dealers, people that lived in Phoenix. They had their connections, so I needed something with more structure. The program where I was at, we just, had people doing everything for us, and we would go into little circles of meetings and just talk about our feelings. So Brother Mike Vecchio, he put out a Facebook post, and the lady who sent me to Arizona, she read that, and at the time I had just overdosed on heroin, and she was looking for places where I could go, and she brought up Project Hope out of Houston, Texas. And I left last April 28th of 2016, came to Houston, and been here ever since. I'll be going on a year on the 28th. This place, the structure it has every single day, it forces you to either grow or, leave the program. You have really no choice. The things we do here, just the structure alone, 5:45 in the morning till 9:30 at night to sleep, and then there's no downtime. It's always one thing after another. You know what I mean? So for me, it just instilled in me a schedule that in my mind I had to just mentally prepare myself for and go through. And for me, it just had an outline of the right thing to do. And everything I was doing, the devotions in the morning, the prayer, it got me closer to God at the same time. So at the same time I'm learning structure, I'm also getting closer to God, learning about the Bible. And for me, I believe there's power in scripture, in prayer and devotions. So that really helped me, And then after about a month or two, they start sending you out fundraising, you know, putting you in leadership after 6 months, student leader, crew leader, and you're leading people who were once in your situation when you first got here, learning the schedule, learning how to deal with all these new feelings of getting sober and the emotions that come with it. The advice I would give somebody in my situation a year ago is to find God. That's the only thing that helped me out. That was literally, it was the last resort for me, but you know, it was something I needed in my life, and that's what Project Hope held for me. So I would tell that person, you know, just don't give up. Don't lose track on what God has planned for you. Even when that addiction came in and, you know, took it away, and you lost that sense of just who you are inside. Because when you start connecting with God again and start realizing that He's still there for you, still loves you, even after the addiction, you'll come back to that person you're supposed to be.
So I was in South Dakota, actually. I moved away from my hometown in Rockwall, Texas, and I had gotten into a whole bunch of trouble up there. I was a mess, doing all sorts of different things, and I wanted to come home, and I called my mom and told her that, and she trusted me to send me money so that I could get home back to Texas. And while she was at that Walmart up in Dallas, girls from Saving Grace were there, and they gave her a pancake. They prayed for her, prayed for me to come into the program, and I ended up using that money to get drugs, and those drugs wound me up in jail the next day. I was told that I was going to prison for 6 years, that I wasn't getting out of it, and God worked on everybody. 2 different judges, everybody involved worked on him and let me come down into this program instead of going to prison. And it sneaks up on you. You don't think that when you start doing drugs, you think, oh, you know, I'm just gonna do it every now and then, or you know, I'm just doing it because I'm at a party or whatever. And it's not just that one time. It's never just that one time. You do it occasionally, but eventually it leads into a everyday, all-day habit, and that's when it consumes you and takes more than you could ever imagine from you. Like the reason that I turned away from God in the first place, thinking that He wasn't there for me, that He wasn't real, that He didn't care about me. And when I come into Saving Grace, they explained it more to me. They actually really want you to understand. They don't just shove everything, I don't want this to sound bad, but shove everything down your throat, you know, and just say, this is all the truth, so just believe it. They explain to you and help you understand. And it's just all of it's a loving environment. It's very structured. You get to have fellowship with other girls that have been through the same thing, different stories, but the same kind of lifestyle. And it's just such an inspiration that everybody above us, all the staff members, they've been through addiction and they've been in this program and they know where we're at. They're not just somebody who came out of school and decided, I'm gonna help addicts, even though I've never been in addiction. They've been there and they're recovered through God. And I think that's what helps me the most, that they've been there and they have hands-on advice that they can give us.
I tried the program in 2015 and I stood for about 5 months, and I thought that I was able to go back out there and do it on my own. And you know, it took about 6 months before I fell and realized that I made a 1-year commitment to God, and I can't just, you know, make a commitment to God and try to go back out there and just do what I want. You know, I have to stay living for God. So I came back into the program of April 2016, and so I've been here almost a year now. You know, I was happy to get off of the streets and kind of be able to have somewhere to stay and not have to worry about when I'm gonna get my next high. Knowing that my family's happy with me, that they're not worried or sick, and wondering if I'm gonna be dead or not, if they're gonna get a call. I was going through a lot of emotions just coming off of the drugs. I really had to humble myself, and that's one of the main things that's kept me here this long, is just humbling myself and trusting in God that He has a plan for me. He's gonna strengthen me. That way I have a purpose, in my life. Hearing my family say that they're proud of me, after not hearing that for the past, 6-7 years after being a drug addict, just hearing it even on the phone, just that, hey, you sound so good. I could tell you're really trying to get your life together right now, and I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for myself. But it just builds me up hearing them say that, they're proud of me and they can see a change.
I feel like addiction, it destroys people's lives, and it just doesn't destroy their lives, it destroys their families as well. I know that it robbed me of relationships with my family, my children, friendships. It cost me jobs. It nearly cost me my life. It robs you of everything, and the sad part about it is you honestly believe that you have to have it, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Addiction, it has a way of twisting your mind into believing things that aren't true. This place gives you a sense of hope, a sense of peace. It gives you your joy back if you stay the course and you actually use this program to your advantage. A lot of secular programs I'd been through, I think I'd walked out the doors a lot worse than I'd walked in. But this program's different in the sense that it's faith-based. To be honest, when I came here, I didn't expect the love that you're given when you come here. I felt like love was just a feeling, and it's not a feeling. It's a choice. And everyone here, when you come here, they're so open. They love you for who you are. You're not judged. You're accepted, and it's like one big family when you come here. And a lot of people, they didn't grow up with family. They don't understand what it is for someone to just love you and accept you for who you are. And no one here judges you. They love you and they embrace you, and they love on you like Christ would love you. It is Christ-like love here. And that's what made it so easy for me to stay, is because they gave me the love and acceptance that I'd never had before. And that's why I love it so much. And when I came here, it was a hard program for me to do, because when you're in addiction, you have no structure, you have no day-to-day routine, if you will. You get up and do whatever you want. When you come here, you best believe you don't get up and do whatever you want. You get up at 5:30 in the morning, and your day is pretty much just mapped out from the word go. When you get up in the morning, you have 45 minutes to get dressed, and you have to share 3 bathrooms with between 14 to 16, sometimes 18 other women, if we have that many. And for that many women to be able to get ready in 45 minutes with that many bathrooms, my director says that's a miracle in itself. And once they're all ready, they're in prayer for 30 minutes in the morning. And after that, at about 7 o'clock, they have breakfast, and then they do chores for 45 minutes around the house, which is like spring cleaning every day. And then after the women finish with their chores, they all go to Saving Grace has a thrift store. And the day is split up between half of the women working in the thrift store, and the other half are in classroom. Then they switch out throughout the day. And while they're in the program, they do 14 biblical studies, which can vary from How Do I Know I'm a Christian, Growing Through Failure, Supernatural Power. And they also learn over 200 scriptures while they're in the program. The students, they don't have jobs while they're in the program, and how the program is funded is solely through what we get in donations from people and what we sell in our crafts on the weekends, which is Thursday through Friday. And then at night when they come home, the women, they may work and they may do study hall. Some of the women have kitchen duty, some women have laundry duty, and then after that they go into devotional They do devotions from 9 to 9:30, and then it's bedtime, and then the same thing just repeats itself the next day. So that's how we get the structure back in our life and get on a routine, is we just repeat the same thing day in, day out. So everybody always knows, what's going on, but we always have to refer to number 10 on the board. Everything's subject to change too. So, and when you come here, it's not a program where you sit around and you do nothing and you talk about your feelings all day either, like when I was in secular programs. You work for your recovery. It gave me a work ethic, and I never had one before. It's a great program. It definitely gives you everything back in your life that you needed while you were in addiction. It teaches you a good work ethic. It teaches you structure. It teaches you routine.
Addiction, it takes over somebody. I was in a heroin addiction, and it wasn't that I didn't need a bad influence of somebody else. It wasn't the atmosphere. What addiction does is it makes you your own worst enemy. You feel like there's no end to it. When you're in the middle of it, you feel like there's just no way that you're ever gonna find relief. It's a very helpless feeling to be in addiction. It separates from your family. It'll cause you to lie, to steal, to do anything. The only priority in your life will be how am I going to get my next fix. My name is Michael Vecchio. I'm the COO of Project Hope Recovery Center. Project Hope had actually started 4 years ago. I've been down working with them for 3.5 years. I completed a recovery program in New York back in 2012. I got a phone call from one of the people that helped to start Project Hope saying that they needed assistant staff, they needed interns. That's how I actually ended up with them. We almost shut down after I was here for about 6 months, and then our current CEO, Pastor Don Norden, he took it over, took it under his wing, and we've flourished ever since. And I've been blessed enough to go from being an intern to now being the COO and overseeing about 35 staff and 80 different students between Texas and Florida. One of the most important things that we instill in the men in the program is to have accountability. We teach them that from the very beginning. If they're going to the bathroom, if they're going to get their books, they have to bring somebody with them. And we hope that carries on once they're finished with the program, that they learn that they need to lean on, and that they have their brothers in Christ to lean on for the little things and the big things, that they don't have to go through this walk alone. I've been with Project Hope now for 3.5 years. I oversee the marketing, the fundraising, the day-to-day schedules for all of the students. Unlike other programs, it's actually free. We don't take insurance. There's no monthly payments. We've gone as far as actually paying for bus and plane tickets for people to come get the help with us, which is unheard of. The way we're able to do that is by going out and fundraising. Our men work in the wood shop throughout the week, hand making crosses, plaques, different specialty items. The women count and sort, create jewelry items for sale, and that's how we're able to raise about 95% of the funds necessary to clothe, house, feed everyone for an entire year. So at the shop, the guys actually, we get in raw wood products. They sand them, they router them, they assemble them, and we bring those out to different fundraising events, to different outreaches where we go. We actually sell those products to help finance everything here. We also recently, through help with donations, we were able to purchase it's called a CNC machine, and it actually cuts out different patterns that we load into a computer, to where the guys, once it's all cut out, we paint them, we stain them, we do different designs, and now we're able to make specialty products for people to purchase either on stores or to order through our website. And then our shop is actually just an extension of the men's home. We have 2 separate apartments that are built onto the sides of the shop. With a total of 4 bedrooms, we can accommodate 26 men in these rooms. We got a bunch of very nice bunk beds that they're all set up on, and each room sleeps between 4 and 8 men in that room, and it's done that way on purpose. We could give every person their own room or have 2 to a room, but
We need people to learn how to interact with other men, you know, and it helps them throughout their growing process while they're here.
We have 2 locations in Houston, Texas. We have a men's home as well as a women's home. We also have a staff house in Houston for people that complete the program and want to stay on or still live with us and have that form of accountability. We have that option for them. We also opened up a men's center in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where currently we're housing 27 students and 6 staff members there. And our mission, of course, is to see people delivered from addiction, depression, abuse, homelessness. But the name Project Hope, you know, our real goal is to show people that there is hope in Christ. That's our ultimate mission, is to have them develop a personal, one-on-one relationship with Jesus. We know that is what will set them free and what will keep them free.
I want to personally thank Pastors Dunn and Susan Norden and their gifted staff for the wonderful work they are doing in Houston and in Florida, working with individuals who are struggling with addictions. I want to encourage you to support this program by going onto their website and purchasing their various items and crosses and trinkets that they build in their own workshops. And if you happen to come across their ministry in front of Sam's Club or Walmart or Tractor Supply, go up to the young men and women and greet them and hear their personal testimonies. And if you know someone that's struggling with addictions and need help, get in touch with Project Hope and Saving Grace. They are ready and excited about helping. As promised, we're at our question and answering part of our show. Our question today comes from Kathy. Kathy says, my mother is suffering from Alzheimer's and I am the primary caregiver and I feel very unsupported and at times exhausted. And on top of that, I get no help from my family. It seems like I'm doing it all by myself. How should I approach my siblings for help, or what options do I have? Well, Kathy, first of all, I want to say thank you for submitting your question. And for starters, you're asking a very difficult question for me to answer because there's so many potential dynamics involved and it's hard to respond appropriately not having all the necessary information I need to do that. But I can tell you there are a lot of resources and support groups for people who are primary caregivers with family members who have Alzheimer's, like your mom. For example, there is the Alzheimer's Association, and there is the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, and I would contact either one of those or both. And I'm sure if she could express it, your mom would tell you, thank you for giving so much of your life and time to take care of her. But be bold enough with your siblings, your family. Tell them where, when, and how they can help you. And don't be critical about what they are or what they're not doing. I know it's tough, but we all handle things differently. And just be thankful that you still have your mom. Now, I want to encourage you to make sure you like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. And as I always say, nobody can beat you at being you. So be the best you can be today.